Buongiorno. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of day it is for you. This is episode something of the Let's Talk Game podcast. I forgot how old we are. Maybe I'm getting a early onset Alzheimer's or something. 30-something, boys, right? We've passed 35 now. We can stop counting. We don't need to anymore. Another quite informal approach to this week's episode. We were just talking about there's been a few pieces happen. Obviously we've been playing more next gen stuff, which is always good. We can talk about that through what we've been playing. There was an announcement re James Bond getting another video game for the first time in donkey's years, and the Game Awards nominations came out, so we're going to touch on those. But first, over to the guys, see how things have been going. Uncle Chunt, we will start with you this week, the man in the middle. How's tricks, friend?
Yeah, all right. I've been pretty chill. Just getting through Gears Tactics. I remember hearing in the reviews that the side quests kind of halt the game somewhat, and it's true. I'm getting to this point where the chapters are rolling through, but you got to do like a bunch of side quests before you can progress, and I just want to keep going. So that's a little annoying. But otherwise, the game I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm still surprised by it. So that's been the main thing I've been doing. And I got into the Australian xCloud beta. So that's been a lot of fun to test. And it's the experience that I've wanted, where I can sit there, watch Netflix or something, and, get the old Kishi out and just play something that, chilling. And that's the Xbox experience that I want. So I can't wait for console streaming to be able to do that. There's a dual or multi sign-on option coming in a future upgrade where you'll be able to essentially play a game streaming from your console and still watch a media app. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun just exploring the options of these new fancy boxes.
Dan, what about you?
Yeah, more PlayStation time. I kind of got a bit nostalgic this week. Essentially, I feel like I'm just going to be going through like the greatest hits of PlayStation 4. So I 100%ed Miles Morales. It's such a cool game. They've fixed a lot of things from 2018, like side missions, for instance. They're not as repetitive. Like there's less chasing down cars, for instance, than there was in 2018. But yeah, a lot of the side missions are really cool. I think the story is not 2018, but I like the characters, so that's all good. But yeah, just 100%ed it, and yeah, that's a definitely a must play, that one. I was playing Red Dead Redemption again. I was like, this is going to be great. And I played for a whole bunch of hours and then turned it off and then loaded it up the next day. And it loaded up a little bit further back than where I had saved. I'm like, that's weird. Like I didn't load up at the start of the game. I loaded up once you got to your first campsite. Like, that's weird. So I played a bunch of missions, turned it off, came back the next day, loaded up in exactly the same place again. And I went, what the fuck is going on? I wrote out, did a couple of things and went to manually save the game, and then the save game icon was locked. I couldn't manually save. And I checked autosave. Autosave was on. So I did a bunch of missions, exited the game, came back into the game, and loaded back into the exactly the same position again. I was like, well, fuck that. So I'm going to do what I always do when something goes wrong playing games. I walk away from it, and then hopefully it fixes itself next time I go play. I also played Inside again. Inside is a great game if you haven't played it. It's 3 hours long, and man, the way that game, like the way the animations are and the atmosphere of that game, even when you die, it's just haunting, because it's not like overtly. There are some graphic deaths, but most of them are just the strange thing of where like the body just goes limp, and you're like, that is just chilling. Or when like a guard grabs you and it's just like, what are they doing? Like, I don't know what they're doing to that kid. It's just it's such a cool feeling. And then yeah, it's always satisfying when you get to the end of that game. Then, as a game that I haven't played before, I started the campaign in Battlefront 2 because it was there, and so I was like, let's try out this single player. I'm curious about where the story is going in it. The gameplay is boring. Like the moment-to-moment shooting is not very satisfying. As soon as I played this, I was thought, wow, I want to play a Mass Effect game. That seems much more interesting. I will say that I enjoy flying around in a TIE fighter. That kind of made me think, oh, maybe I should go get Squadrons.
Yes.
And they just announced today that there's all these Black Friday deals occurring on the PlayStation Store, and I'm assuming retail, so I might look at Squadrons. But yeah, apart from that, that's all the games that I played this week.
Nice.
You have been doing the video games. I have, because that thing there arrived. Symbols showing.
Look at it.
I'm slightly annoyed by it because I've got coil wine. I had coil wine in my PS4 Pro and it wound me up. And again, no shade being thrown for specific reasons or anything like that. That Xbox is completely silent. They're both behind me within earshot, right? So I can't hear the Xbox when it's turned on. The second that PlayStation turns on, it's like that low just in the background, and it's discernible with even with headphones on, like, you know, it's there. It's really irritating. It did dim out when the fans ramped up, so you know, like when it was using more power to actually play a game, it evened out a little bit, but when it was idling, it was infuriating me. Anyway, that aside, the games. So I played one of the first levels of Astrobot. I did the GPU land down as we were talking about. I enjoyed it, and then I got to the end of it. I was like, I want to make this experience last a while, like, you know, just to go back and use the DualSense, because it is the only thing that is next gen about next gen, let's be honest. Well, for somebody like me who's still, I can play at a better resolution on my PC than I can with either of these machines. So the next gen feature for me is the DualSense. So that was great playing through Astrobot, and then after that I was like, right, I either need to start Miles Morales or play Godfall, and I was like, it's too late at night for me to want to start Miles. I want to sit and dedicate like a good 3 or 4 hour play session, get into that, and I started Godfall. I was on the fence with it. I know we've spoke about it on a number of podcasts previously, like, you know, what are the launch games. I'm not saying it isn't fun. It is. It looks very pretty. The particle effects are awesome. The art direction's great. The gameplay is not bad. The button layout and the button mapping is bad, and you can't change it, which, you know, that hinders your playing of a game, right? If you're used to a specific thing, like say B is to dodge in these type of games, and they've mapped it to like A, or, you know, to actually target something, you move the right stick, which is strange as well. There's a few weird things going on like that with it, but a £70 price tag, not justified. There is no way they can justify this game costing that price. The presentation isn't good enough. It feels like it's not a AAA video game. It feels like a kind of indie, you know, what we'd have as a AA studio previously, but like a, you know, one of these second party, like, not polished. It's not at that level where this game can be the same price as their targeting pricing, you know, whatever the next Uncharted game is, or whatever the next Horizon's going to be. Like, there is no monetary value of that nature in there, so it's too expensive, and there is nothing that makes this a next gen game. It's on PC. You can play it on PC at a multitude of resolutions, at detail and texture settings to your heart's content. If this game comes to Xbox, which it looks like it's going to, I guarantee it will be on Game Pass, and that it will be playable on Xbox One consoles. I think it's a big old marketing stunt, this game, and that's really disappointing. The story threads so far are trash, to be perfectly honest. It's nothing we haven't seen before, but I knew that going in. It's one thing that I kind of seen in reviews, kind of going, look, don't expect much from the story. I was expecting more from the gameplay. I can see it maybe grow into it. Like, you do feel super powerful even when you're only kind of one level above the enemies you're fighting, so there's definitely legs there. Yeah, so 50-50 on it. Admit there's a lot of stuff annoying me, but I see the potential, really, kind of the loot and the progression, and you know the Diablo-esque nature of it, the Monster Hunter type combat. Like it's got enough there to make me go back. I think I just need to be in more of a mood to play it. The other next gen game, well, again, next gen, current gen game that I was playing was Valhalla. In all honesty, I haven't turned it on since Tuesday, because I kind of hit a bit of a brick wall with it and was like, this is not as good as Odyssey. So I'd say I'm 8 hours in now. The first 4 hours of that are the prologue before you even see the credits, and the next kind of 4 hours that I spent in it, I know we've been talking about this, and it's like, oh yeah, the Vikings weren't likable. They weren't, but that doesn't mean that the storytelling can't be good. It's just nowhere near the level of Odyssey for me. The combat, they changed the mechanics heavily. It's less of an RPG in some ways, and more of an RPG in others. So it's for me, what my knowledge of Assassin's Creed as it is at the moment and how it should be presented is, this game is having an identity crisis. So it quickly lost my interest. But that's my games for this week. I've been too busy being an adult to deal with many more than that, and I think they've, adult life's maybe thrown me off enjoying these experiences as much as I wanted to. But sadly, largely disappointed. Alas, that is what we played this week.
For only 1 weekend of this new generation, like, it's only going to get better from here.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like, we know this. It's just, I think, of all of those things, the Godfall being like $69.99 here is, I'm gobsmacked. Like, it's just not a game that should be costed at that, and I think they're going to get a lot of pushback for it. I actually looked after finishing my PlayStation last night, which I think was an hour and 40 minutes. I looked this morning at a refund because most, if you buy something on Steam or even on Xbox now, I think if you buy it, play it, and you play it for less than 2 hours, you can request a refund and say, look, this is not for me. PlayStation obviously don't offer that because it'd be too consumer friendly. As soon as you've opened the game once, you void any access to a refund, which again is something that is a detrimental side of having a digital only console. But that's them things.
I'm disappointed to hear that.
Spider-Man in you.
That's why I'm kind of happy that the last experience that I do have to go to is Spider-Man, because I know that there's at least a bar of quality with that. Both Destiny and FIFA, which are games I play a lot, are getting their next gen patches in a few weeks. Cyberpunk's still got to come out, so there's still plenty of stuff to blow us away before the end of the year, I'm sure. Cyberpunk, of which I did end up pre-ordering on Xbox, purely for the achievements and for the ability to play game streaming of it rather than being tethered to the PC in one room, because it sounds like it's going to be a chunky ass game. But that's something that did happen this week. I know we didn't mention kind of talking about it, but the last Night City Wires went out. There was 2. Chun, did you get to watch the Xbox one?
I did.
What do you think?
In two minds. As we previously discussed, like, on base PS4 and Xbox One, like in the Xbox One X and Series X gameplay demo that they, it looks like it was just having a bit of a hard time on the One X. Shootout where the frames, there's like bang, 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 it just putting out. It was enough to make me go, oh wait, the Series X version of iteration of the game looks decidedly better. It's obvious, it's night and day when you watch it swapping back and forth, and it could be enough for me to go, all right, I'll buy it, I'll have my Series X so I can play it there. But at the end of there's a legit, like, proper next gen upgrade coming sometime next Series X and PS5, and I was like, well, I mean, thanks. I'll just wait. I seriously think I'm just going to hang out and wait until it comes out. Yeah, I'll miss the FOMO aspect and the zeitgeist of the conversation and whatever else. But the game like that, it's so big, knowing that I could be playing it in a better form the whole time, that would frustrate. And so, yeah, I think I'm just going to hang out and watch everybody else enjoy it. And comes out, I'll play it in its best version. Yeah.
Dan, did you catch any of it? The trailers or the
other thing you got to remember with that too, Chun, is when they do the patch for the PlayStation 5 Series X, there's probably going to be bugs with that patch, so then you'll have to wait for the next patch for that to fix it.
But it'll look hot as shit.
I watched a little bit of the comparison, but I didn't watch the whole thing because I don't need to see any more. My excitement level has gone down since the last delay. So now I'm trying to pull myself away from it and then let the excitement come back. So by the time December 10th comes here, I'll be like, all right, let's do this. So I didn't watch any of it. No.
Fair dues.
Fair.
Well, the other thing that got some news happening this week was that IO, famous for obviously the Hitman video games, are going to make a Bond game. About time Bond had a game, I suppose. I remember one being really good. Was it called Agent Under Fire? Or something like that? 007 Agent Under Fire. That was a good Bond game. And the GoldenEye, obviously not standard GoldenEye was great, but do you remember the GoldenEye game that they did that was on like GameCube and PS2? Where you had like a literal GoldenEye that had like different technology and stuff in it?
Wow. Nope.
Set in the Bond universe. That was a weird, quirky Bond game. Yeah, what are your thoughts re James Bond getting a video game? Dan, what about you?
Well, in terms of James Bond, my history of James Bond games, I played GoldenEye, obviously, I think everyone did. I played Tomorrow Never Dies. I remember really enjoying playing that game. I don't know if I'd play things where you remember it fondly, but it's probably because I was like 8 years old or something and thought it was cool. But no, this is great. What I'm excited about this is like Rocksteady doing the Arkham series, or this is like Insomniac doing Spider-Man. It's not them making a James Bond game based on the movie that's out at that current time, whether it's a Daniel. Apparently, it's an origin story. So they're doing their own take, and I know I assume that it will be a third-person action spy game. I hope. The thing I've been racking my brain around is, do I want them to have the same outlay as like the Hitman does, where they release like episodic stuff essentially, and you just explore a map and you sneaking around like these giant maps? Do they do the same thing, or do they just release it as a standalone game? Is there going to be many online components? I'm very nervous about that part of it, but yeah, that's exciting. I'm surprised it will at like the Game Awards or something.
John, do you have any thoughts pertaining to Mr. Bond?
Yeah, I want a Sean Connery Bond, like not a 2020 watered down safe Bond. You know, I'll Bond experience all its wrinkles, you know, that people might not like today. I'm a bit apprehensive about it. It's like, yeah, cool, James Bond, cool. Another spy action type legacy thing coming back. That's great. I never really took to the Daniel Craig movies. Really enjoyed Pierce Brosnan, that kind of stuff. But I don't know what kind of Bond they'll be looking for in this one. Obviously, being an origin story, he's going to be finding himself anyway. Yeah, it looks exciting. I think, like you said, it's about time. It's one of those massive properties that you'd think, why aren't there a regular turnover of games like there used to be? I mean, they never really sold really well anyway. Like GoldenEye was like a flash in the pan, and that movie was just as big. But, you know, we didn't know what we had at the time. You go back and play it, and it's running at like 12 frames a second on 64, you know, and it's like, oh, I remember this being a lot better. And it's like muddy as hell. But yeah, look, I think it's great. It's well overdue, man. Like just like Splinter Cell. Where the hell is Splinter Cell? Like Sam Fisher, come on, bring it back. I hope this might just stoke the flame under Ubisoft, and you know, for them to go, man, we got one of these. What the hell? Sam Fisher, let's bring him back. Yeah, I only brought that up because they had a massive sale of all these Splinter Cell games on Xbox Live this week, and yeah, you can grab all the original Xbox ones for like $8 each. So I'm thinking about grabbing a couple of those just to start where it all began. Never really got into the Splinter Cell stuff, but now we're talking about James Bond and Hitman and stuff. It's like, well, maybe I might go back and revisit some of that. So if it can capture that aspect and the flame of the whole era of that Bond fantabulous living action spy thriller, you know, all the women want him and all the men want to be him aspect, that'd be great. Yeah, cool. I'm with Dan on that though. I hope it's not just online, you know, shit fests. And I don't even think I'd want episodic stuff. I want like a proper, if you're going to do James Bond, you got to do James Bond, you know, just one big blob, you know, just go bam, here it is. Yeah. Not like triple feed, you know, it's just bullshit.
Cinematic experience rather than TV show.
Yeah.
Sex mini games and martini making.
Fuck yeah.
Just maybe. Well, them's the newses. So our other topic for this week was Re the Game Awards, and Dan, I'm going to have to lean quite heavily on you to help me with this because I do not have the nominees in front of me. I did ask you to pull those up, so I'm assuming you have done it. Yep. What award are we starting with, and can you give us the list of nominees?
Oh, well, we'll start with the big one, shall we? The big one. Game of the Year. So we have as our first nominee, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Doom Eternal, The Last of Us Part 2, and Animal Crossing New Horizons, and Final Fantasy VII Remake.
So I'm going to go first here because I know what Chunt's answer is. Animal Crossing. I think Animal Crossing is a deserved winner when you think of the year we've had, right? Any other time, any other year, I don't even think it gets a look in. It gets a nod for being a good game, but this year, because of the zeitgeist around it, I think that it deserves to take it, just for how, like, you had people going out and buying Nintendo Switches that had no business with video games because their friends were telling them about it. You know, I've seen like videos like people giving their mums and dads Switches and like getting obsessed with Animal Crossing. Like, it was just a thing. So a lot of the other games I haven't played. Hades, obviously, we know is being critically acclaimed to the eyeballs, to the point where Microsoft and Sony are going, give us a port of it super quick because it's currently only on Switch and PC, but it's getting spoke about a lot. But I think my pick personally, and obviously I think it would be Animal Crossing, and I'm gathering that Chunt has the same opinion.
Look, I have a double-edged answer here because yes, Animal Crossing, holy crap, I'm one of those people, I had no reason in playing that game. Never played it in my life, and I always scoffed at the game. I was like, who plays this shit? You know? And,
you for 200 hours.
And I bought 2 Switches during that time, you know, traded them in and bought it again and started a new island and everything. So yeah, grabbed me by the balls just like a lot of people. So yeah, it's definitely worthy of being on there. Out of the ones I've played, that's the only one. But the only other one that I'm salty as hell for that I would probably vote for is Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've watched the whole playthrough of that on one of my favorite streams. Million dude, he's a massive Final Fantasy fan, and he fucking cried during the game. He loves it that much. Like Final Fantasy VII was his favorite game of all time, kind of thing. So it was a big kind of, he was the one person to watch. Oh god, I can't wait to play that myself. Like, I'm removed from that gameplay now that I don't really remember too, like, you know, the moment to moment stuff. It's not fresh. So if I do eventually play it, exclusivity comes up in April, so I'm hoping there's an Xbox announcement coming out because every Xbox, and that one should be on Xbox because, man, I know Final Fantasy VII was a PlayStation game back in the day, but times have changed. It's no longer a Sony like exclusive thing. And if you want to get really technical about it, it was meant to come out in Nintendo 64 first, but the cartridges weren't big enough, so they jumped to Sony. Yeah, look, I'd have to go for that for a game that I haven't played in that list, but Animal Crossing for chunks. So that's my two-sided thing.
And Dan?
This is really tough. There are, I think, 4 ones that could win it. The ones I don't think Doom will. I think people are like, Doom is a great game. This is more Doom. Here's Doom. So people, I think it's just what is it? An honor to be nominated for Doom. I think Final Fantasy Remake will hit the same type of issue that like Resident Evil 2 Remake got, where it is a remake and people don't know how to approach that. I think Final Fantasy 7 did more as a remake than those.
Oh yes,
because of the changes that they made. I still think. I think I personally, of like Last of Us, to me, it depends on how these awards are voted on as well. If they're ranking them, I think Last of Us will get a lot of 1 votes, but also a lot of 5s and 6s, because it is a very divisive game. So that, depending on how the voting occurs, is where Last of Us will end up. Hades is the latest game on this list, so a lot of people who are playing it might have that feeling of like the latest best thing. Ghost of Tsushima is pretty much beloved by everyone, but I feel like it would get like a lot of 2s and a lot of 3s, and maybe not everyone's 1s. But yeah, I think Animal Crossing, the thing is, the best comparison for this game is probably Pokemon Go from a few years ago when that got nominated, because it is the zeitgeist. It is everything. The only difference I would say with Animal Crossing is when people go back and look through the Game of the Year awards, and you think back to 2020 when everyone was in lockdown, what were people playing? And think of Animal Crossing. Pokemon Go was a huge thing that happened the year it did. But yeah, the fact that everyone remembers what 2020 is going to be, and with COVID and everything, yeah, I think Animal Crossing will get it too. Personally, Last of Us, but yeah, Animal Crossing, I think will get it.
You know what? I secretly hope Hades wins, just for the underdog. You know, and it's one of those games we just nominated. Like I read it and I was like, what the fuck is Hades doing on there? I know it's like well loved, but amongst all these like $100 million games, you know, I'm like, well, fuck yeah, I hope that wins. That'd be great.
Would be good. So we are having massive technical problems. Like we are freezing like hell. So Dan, in the interest of us not freezing while we're talking, we've spoke about the big games. Do the rest of the awards, but let's rapid fire them so we can try and get as much out before we start going robot talk.
All right. So art direction: Ghost of Tsushima, Ori, Will of the Wisps, Hades, Last of Us Part 2, Final Fantasy 7.
Ori personally, but I think they're all in with a good shout.
Ori or Final Fantasy 7 Remake? Stunning, man.
I'm going to go Hades.
Nice.
All right, best narrative: Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Last of Us Part 2, Final Fantasy Remake, 13 Sentinels.
I can't speak to any of them, but Hades has been praised for its narrative and the fact that it elongates the game, so I'll go with that, just because I haven't picked it for anything yet.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, because how it reworks the original story.
Ghost of Tsushima I don't think should really be on here. Was Part 2, but I'll just stick with Last of Us Part 2. Alright, best ongoing game: Fortnite, Call of Duty Warzone, Apex Legends, Destiny 2, No Man's Sky.
Destiny, because I'm a shill. Next one.
Destiny 2, hands down. It's got the most epic story out of all of those.
I'm going to say Fortnite. I think them getting all that Marvel patch and shit this year, people are going to be like, that was amazing.
It's a real powerful narrative.
Yeah. Well, it's not narrative. It's just best ongoing game.
Oh, Destiny then.
Action game. Hades, Doom Eternal, Streets of Rage 4, Half-Life Alyx, Neo 2.
Again, I can't speak to many of them, but Half-Life Alyx. Because
what was
of
the
what
category?
it did different.
Action game.
Oh. I haven't played any of them.
I'm going Hades.
Yeah, actually, I'll go with Hades.
Love.
I thought it was a different category you were reading out.
Right. Role-playing game. Role-playing game. Fantasy 7 Remake. Genshin Impact. Yakuza Like a Dragon. Persona 5 Royale. And Wasteland 3.
I haven't played the Royale version of it, but Persona should win that.
Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
You die on that horse.
I am, yep.
Yeah, I think Persona 5 Royale, just because people were surprised by that game being better than the initial game. So
when the initial one was already really fucking good.
Audio design. Ghosts of Tsushima, Doom Eternal, Last of Us Part 2, Half-Life Alyx, Resident Evil 3.
Doom Eternal, hands down.
Doom soundtrack, can't go wrong with that.
And just the gunplay sounds in the world, and man, holy shit.
Chunky.
I will go Last of Us Part 2, because why not? Independent game. Hades, Fall Guys, Carrion, Spiritfarer, Spelunky 2.
That's it's a tough category, but I think Fall Guys, yeah.
I think with the amount of nominations Hades has had, I think that kind of speaks.
I've thought with the inverse of going, because Fall Guys doesn't really have any other nominations, that might be the one it gets.
Multiplayer game. Fall Guys, Call of Duty, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Among Us, Valorant.
Far out. I've had more fun with Animal Crossing with my family and friends visiting my island, so I'll have to go that.
I agree, but it's definitely, I think Valorant might take it. Personally, Animal Crossing though.
Specifying it as a multiplayer game, I'm going Fall Guys.
Nice.
I think, if they're specifying that. By the way, I'm skipping all the esports shit. Action. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghosts of Tsushima, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Last of Us Part 2, and Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales.
I haven't played Miles yet. I think it will win it. But for me personally, Jedi Fallen Order.
Far out. I haven't. Shit. I'm just gonna say it. I haven't played it, but I know I'm gonna love it anyway. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Yes.
Hard disagree.
Last of Us.
There's a reason they haven't got your copy to you, John. It's so you can't be disappointed.
Hey, it'll be there Monday.
All right, fighting game. Under Night in Birth. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows. Grand Blue Fantasy Champion Edition.
Mortal Kombat.
No contest. That game is the pillar of awesome that everything should stand up to.
I agree.
Mortal Kombat is mine as well. Games for Impact. Through the Darkest of Times, Kentucky Route Zero, If found, Spiritfarer, Tell Me Why.
I've played one episode of Tell Me Why, and it's the only thing I've played on that list, so I, by proxy, have to choose it.
Yeah, what Jamie said.
I heard a few people talk about Kentucky Route Zero, so I understood that to be different.
Quite powerful.
Community support. Fortnite, Fall Guys, Valorant, Apex Legends, Destiny 2, No Man's Sky.
I mean, in my heart of hearts, I have to go with Destiny 2 because their community team is brilliant. Obviously, Deej has left now, but you know, his team they're awesome and they're great with the community. But Fall Guys' Twitter account is absolutely hilarious. So yeah. I think that will win it. But for me personally, it'd be the Destiny 2 team.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'll pick Fall Guys. Good on him. All right, family game. Fall Guys. Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. Animal Crossing New Horizons. Paper Mario, The Origami King. Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. Minecraft Dungeons.
Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Done. No more to be said. Mobile game. Do we care about mobile game?
No.
All right, there is best performance, but for some reason it doesn't have it listed here.
It's a bit rude.
I know. And because that's the last one that we have to do. So 2 seconds.
1.
Is there not one for best personality, like, or content creator or something?
Yeah, but I skipped that because I don't know who. But I don't know. I don't care about them. Best performance. Ashley Johnson as Ellie in The Last of Us. Laura Bailey as Abby in The Last of Us. Jusuke Shuji as Jin Sakai in Ghost of Tsushima. Logan Cunningham as Hades in Hades. And Niji Jeter as Miles Morales in Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Let's just give it to Spidey for the shits.
Is it the same guy that played Miles in the first game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go him.
I'll go Ellie in The Last of Us.
That will be, she will be who wins. Like, Ashley Johnson will win that for sure. And I know you did skip over the content creator thing, but I think it definitely has to go to your Aussie native Alana Pierce this year. Based not only around, obviously, you know, everybody's been locked down, she's been doing content left, right and centre, that's fine, but I think she did read the accessibility awards and put all of that together. Like, she founded, hosted, wrote the whole thing. Like, give her some kudos for that. That is creating content and it's meaningful to a whole bunch of people that don't often get represented in games. So pat on the back for her, give her the award.
Was she nominated?
She is
Alana
nominated.
Pierce, J. Ann Lopez, Nick Merckx, Tim the Tap Man, and Valkyrie or Valkyrie. I don't know how to spell that.
So Alana, in terms of what she's done for the industry, as a content
Alana's
creator,
anyone I know. So.
Is
yeah, man. In that list, I know a couple of those.
Yeah, so do I. And she's had way more impact this year than any of them have. No offense to them, some of them are quite funny and quite good content creators, but you know, she's actually done something of value, which I think speaks volumes.
All right. Well, the awards are on December 10th, so I will watch this episode back. I will write down what we all picked.
Yeah, you do the whole prediction, my Bob's thing. But yeah, we've been struggling. I don't know what's causing it. I've checked my bandwidth. Nothing's happening on my server. I don't know if it's Discord having trouble like they do every sort of 10 episodes where we don't work properly, but you two have been jittery, jumpy robots for that entire conversation. It's been fun.
Well, your voice has been dropping out throughout the episode, but I look at your audio and it's still going, so I'm like, well, it's clearly fine on your end, but it'll
be recording fine.
Yeah.
Well, I am. You two are freezing on the recording. Like, it's just happening. You're like mimes. It's outrageous. So yeah, not too much to talk about this week, and we'll start to wrap it there. Based on that, obviously, it's not fun to try and listen to people have a conversation that's broken. But thank you for joining us as always, guys. Thanks for having a brief conversation. Back to next gen, I guess, and have a good weekend.
Yeah.
You too.
Bye.
And wash your hands.
Man, I tell